Well, now, I think that should make a lot of people happy. I know there will be some who say, well, a lot of the defenders were out for Oklahoma State. Yes, they were. Uh, and West Virginia did what they should be able to do. They ran the ball down their throats, passed uh, well most of the time. But you flip it around, and Oklahoma State, 14 points, not a whole lot of yards. They ran up over 400 yards against Kansas State last week. The adjustments worked. Now, and that last touchdown, bad play. We also had Israel Boyce in there playing the role, true freshman, getting his first taste of things. And, well, his coverage wasn't good and he missed a tackle. All right. True freshman, give it to him. Don't worry. 2 interceptions, 2 sacks at least, lots and lots of pressure. And a lot of that pressure was actually coming late because of the coverage. Now, they frequently dropped 8 defenders, but there were stretches before when they were dropping 8 and still lots of guys open. There were 2 or 3 passes today. Guy was much too open, not counting the one with Boyce, but 2 or 3 you can live with. You kind of expect that. There were, some of the other, longer completions were into good coverage. I mean, one of them had a defender in front and 2 defenders to the sides, and the ball was put right where it had to be. Hollis had a big hit on the receiver. He held on to the ball. So you can't hold that against the defense. The defense did well. They were holding Gordon down even before he got injured. And of course, after that, they pretty much had to give up the running game. And West Virginia defended the pass, whichever quarterback was in there. Gotta like it. Gotta like it. Yeah, I'm certainly hopeful. The offensive line did the kind of job today that makes you think they can do it against Iowa State. And again, defended the pass well. Running game got going. Partly that was better blocking, but both White and Donaldson were running hard and sharp. They were making the right reads, the right cuts. They were doing it quickly. And once they got started downfield, they were not of a mind to let anybody tackle them on the first try. We had spins, we had cuts, we had stiff arms, and we had just plain run over guys. That includes Mark Heel. He took it to the defense when he was in. And that was very good to see. Now, because, of course, Markiol was in for one play against Kansas, fumbled the snap. And that just sucks. It's not who he is, but he had to live with it for 2 weeks. Good to give him a chance to get that out of his system. Of course, it was also good to see Garrett Green come back in after that. Have to hope that the shoulder is actually fine. I would assume it is because he was still throwing the deep ball very fast, very far, very easily. Unfortunately, on most of them, he threw it too far. There were at least 2 of them that he overthrew Ray by a long margin. Threw one that was actually a little short to Fox, and then the one to Clement that he caught. And actually, Clement was the only one of them that was covered. On the other three, the receiver had a long, lead. Fox had one or two steps. Ray had two or three both times. Completing any of those is a touchdown. Flip it back a little bit and take a look at Green's short game, and once again, it was very, very good. A number of critical short passes. He hit them accurately and with touch. Have not yet checked his completion percentages on the various lengths, but when they passed, he mostly did very well, and especially short to intermediate, kept drives alive. Now, did not score a lot of points in the second half, even with the first team, and that's going to be something some people will point out. And I don't like it, but of course, you're up 31-7 at halftime, or 24-7, whatever it was, 31, I think. You really find it hard to stay super sharp. But what the offense did was eat clock. They just gobbled clock. Oklahoma State didn't get the ball a lot. They most of the time weren't able to do that much with it when they got it. Some really nice defense. Even the touchdown pass, it was a good play, well designed. Trotter was a little behind. Lathan was a little late, and Bowman got it between them, which is how that play is designed to work. It was a case more of the offense doing it the way they should, and not so much a big defensive mistake, but the defense could have played it better. The interception by Joseph was very good to see. Now, Joseph has been playing fairly well. The safeties have graded out higher than the corners, but he read the play well. He got where he needed to be. He was on his landmark, including depth, and that is the key. If he comes in a yard shallower, that pass is over his head and it's probably a touchdown. But because he played it well, Bowman really didn't see him coming. He got where he needed to be, and he was able to get up and get the ball. Now, the interception by Trotter was a thing of beauty and a mistake. It was a lovely interception. Now, I was more of the opinion that he was likely to cut off a slant over the middle and make his interception like he did in the spring game. But of course, technically he should have just knocked the pass out of bounds because it was fourth down, and you got to keep track of those things. He's also a redshirt freshman playing his first, year in college. I'm sure the coaches will point it out to him. Nobody is going to worry too much about it. But man, the athleticism, that was quite a thing to see. And Trotter had a very nice defense in the on a fade pattern, a corner route in the end zone. The ball was going out of bounds. I don't think there was any chance the receiver could have come down inbounds with it. But Trotter made sure he got his hand in there, knocked the ball away. He played the ball. So that was very good to see. Overall, Garnes had multiple good plays, both on coverage and a really nice tackle. And in general, the tackling was very good. The defense overall was just sharp. They weren't, as glitzy in the stats or anything as maybe some other games, but they did what they were supposed to do. The rush put pressure on the quarterback, even if they couldn't get to him, got to him twice. They made him move, had to throw a couple of passes away. And again, it was the pressure, late pressure, that caused the interception by Trotter. And the back 8 or 7, depending, mostly did their job. I mean, it was nice to see the quarterback standing back there, looking side to side, and just know where to go with it. It is getting towards what I expected to see at the beginning of the year. If they take another half step or so improvement between now and next week, the defense does get more to where they really need to be. Now, it was also nice. Sorry, Timothy, I didn't see this one. We've got 10 people watching, but you and I are the only ones talking. Yeah, keeping, I just would have liked to have seen more of Markiel in general. I kind of thought maybe they would put him in, but I can kind of understand you want your first string in there as long as you can. They need the work. They're the guys that you feel most confident won't screw things up. Needed to prove they could, keep pushing. And I'm not sure Brown probably wasn't entirely satisfied with them because they weren't finishing on those drives. And so I think he was kind of, wanting to push those guys to finish. But yeah, I mean, now, Markiel's, the passes he threw were sharp. The timing was good. And I have no worries there. His running, he's not as fast as Green, but he gets downfield. He makes the right read. He makes the right cut. He's every bit as willing as Garrett Green to take a hit and make a hit, and he has a little more weight to do it with. So, yeah, it would have been. Now, Jalen Anderson did get in for several plays, got several carries, so I guess he is the number 3 back. Dior Hubbard got a carry, gave him a taste of things. So they did get some young guys in there. I was definitely pleased with how Livingston played while he was in for Yates. The team did not really take a serious step backward. And I did see both Yates and Remack back in after they were injured. Green went down briefly. I don't know about Hollis. I don't know if he came back in. But if we are starting to tighten up at the corners, we don't miss him as much. But you do want to see him. I mean, he's a 1-year player. You want to see him play the year out well and then move forward. So you don't really want to see him go down long term. Yeah, Buck. I was just saying that's pretty much, or it's getting, like I say, it's getting close to what I expected. I want to see the offense finish stronger. They tried a lot of 2-back sets, frequently had White going out into the flat, but they're definitely using the 2-back sets. A number of plays that they hadn't been using, and neither the 2-back sets nor most of the new plays worked well, but they got to do them in game conditions, which means they will probably be better able to execute in game conditions after this. And it will give them some things to talk about. I think there were a couple of uh, assignment mistakes when they were trying these. The first pass, I think, pass out to White, uh, defender was right there. I think somebody was probably supposed to run him off. If he's not there, it's a nice chunk of yards. But yes, it looked much, much better. Still had a kickoff out of bounds, had a long kickoff return, which had not been a problem. But, I mean, they did not give up a lot of points and overall not a lot of yards. So, got to be happy with reservations. But I do think the team's coming together, as if they continue to prove, everybody will have to be worried. But just because what was it? I think the announcers said they ran it 63 times, was it? Yeah, 63 runs. And, I mean, they ran a fair number of plays. They controlled the ball, they controlled the clock, they controlled the game. Didn't like that they had to settle for the field goal on the first play, but I think that might be the first time this season Oklahoma State gave up points on the opening drive. I saw something about that recently. Going 0-3 in the conference to start. Been a long, long time since Gundy's teams did that. Now, of course, Gordon was out, but I said, we were holding him in check. He got one long gain on a swing pass, but most of the time he was getting 1 to 3 yards. And West Virginia, I don't think they were seriously stacking the box. They were, because they needed to stop Gordon, but not give up big passes. So it was a all around good game by the defense. Timothy, glad you mentioned that, because listen, right now there's a problem with my channel. I don't know what it is or why exactly. I don't know if if the algorithm is mad at me. Many of the videos are not even getting 100 views. Very few comments. Even my regulars are not there. I did about I did 6 videos in the past 2 weeks. I really wanted to do extra coverage over the bye week. Most comprehensive season to date. I did 5 videos on season to date and not getting watched. Monday, YouTube actually deleted my channel on the claims of spam, scams, and deceptive practices. I appealed and it was immediately restored, but I don't know what's going on. So if people can, if you haven't watched those videos from the past 2 weeks, please go in and watch them. I was kind of surprised by some of what I said. After I looked at the numbers, there were some things going on that weren't getting talked about anywhere else. And then nobody watches, so kind of sucks rocks. And when you do, if click, comment, do all of those good things, but also if you would watch over 50% of the video, that would be great. You get over that level and YouTube shows it to more people. Offers it to more people. Just, hey, if you're watching at least half, they can run ads and all that kind of stuff. I don't care if you have the sound on or not. Play them in the background. But I have, I'm stuck at 67 subscribers short of the 500 mark. I get to 500, I can do things like super chats. I can put a donate button on the channel. And guys, I'm flat out desperate for income. Uh, we're talking potential of collection agencies. So anyway, back to football. Back to football. Uh, and yeah, I'm going to guess that you are pointing out how good West Virginia has been at scoring late in the half. So hopefully nobody was surprised. And yeah, of course, when you hear that somebody, a significant player on the opponent is out, a lot of West Virginia fans start saying, "Oh, the replacement is going to have a huge game," which is it's happened a few times. It always does against lots of teams. You get a guy coming in, super hyped, and he has a big game. It's just one of those things, that happens. Does it happen more against West Virginia? I tend to doubt it. But now, of course, Coach Brown said he expected, Gordon to, have a breakout game eventually and just hope it wasn't against us. Well, it wasn't. And again, I don't care if he was injured or not. If he'd come back into the game healthy, I don't think he would have done any better than he had up to that point. So yes, West Virginia took advantage of the defense. They, and again, it's the kind of thing Coach Brown talks about. There were things the team needed to do, and they did them. And that's a big part of what it's about. You don't necessarily have to do more to win games. You just have to do the things that you should do. And by and large, they did. A couple of mistakes, not that many penalties, no major penalties. The delay of game, I think it was technically, by the rules, that's how it is. It's bogus as all get out because the official was standing over the ball until there were like 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock, just because Oklahoma State had to be given a chance to substitute. Well, that rule has to get fixed because the offense needs to be allowed a minimum of 10 seconds after the official leaves the ball. It's an easy fix. A minimum of 10 seconds if the official is standing over the ball. Now, I think 10 seconds is, reasonable. I don't understand why they haven't done it because this rule has been bogus ever since it was instituted. It's blatantly bogus and it's easy to fix. Hopefully they'll get around to fixing it. They haven't fixed a lot. They've made many, many changes the last few years. Fixing things hasn't been their big deal. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know about that one, Timothy. I'd been, was kind of watching the score, and when Vanderbilt's up early, big deal. They got a tip, pick 6, Alabama will come back. Well, Alabama did come back, but so did Vanderbilt. And once again, that is why we play the game. You play that game 20 times and Alabama wins 19 of them. But you're never sure which one is going to be the upset. So, and whenever West Virginia is the underdog, we got to keep that in mind. It didn't happen against Penn State, but it could have. It could have. let's see, we got 12 people in here. We've only got 4 people who have commented. So, hey guys, come on. You got questions? You got comments? Let's see, Green, what was it? We were over 300 yards rushing today. I was trying to pull up the statistics before I went online. My computer did not want to cooperate. In computer years, it's much older than I am. Some days I'm still young at heart. It is not. So I had to give up and just settle for getting this thing going and just hope the computer will make it through the season. Hey, I'm hoping I'll make it through the season. Just being young at heart. Oh, well. Hey, and I had not, or if I'd heard the story, it kind of slipped past me that, TJ Jackson actually flatlined on the field his first season at Troy. Had to miss the season, get the problem identified and fixed. And, he's playing like he's making up for all of that. Like I said, I think I had heard that and just slipped right through my mind. The announcers mentioned it, and man, the number of guys we've got on this team. Of course, I'm sure most teams have guys with neat stories. We've got a bundle of them this year, but that's a good story, and especially as long as it continues to have. Well, I don't want to say the happy ending, but let's see, the happy plot line. Now, I got it. 2 reasons I disagree. And of course, there are people say, don't run Donaldson outside, don't run White up the middle. But there are 2 reasons why you have to. One is so the defense doesn't look in the backfield and just know by who's back there whether it's going to be wide or up the middle. But also, Jaheim White's got strong legs, so up the middle he can do. And of course, up the middle, you're always hoping to get that quick crease, maybe on a trap or something. And sometimes you pop really long runs, but you have to be willing to keep hitting. And Donaldson has speed. Why have people forgotten that? When they switched him to running back, the thing was, hey, man, he's 230-some pounds and fast. He's not just a big back. He has the speed to get to the outside. Now, I prefer, kind of the tackle slot. And that's been one of our best spots overall. Having Wyatt Milam and Malone helps. But, no, oh, shoot. I can't remember whether it was White or, but they've got sort of the stretch plays and the zone reads, and you run it to that side, and the back makes the decision. So some of the times when Donaldson's going out and White is cutting in, it's because that's where they think the best chance is. And of course, there are a number of times where, hey, you run it up the middle and cut outside, or start inside, get a step past, or start outside and get a little step, cut back and up the middle and gone. But you have to be able to run any running back to the outside. I think even Owen Schmidt went wide at times. I think the runaway opportunity started sort of to the inside, but he got outside and he got down the field. I really think we have to keep running both backs, well, of course they break it down kind of, left middle, right middle, guard, tackle, end. But you got to run any running back to all of those possible spots. It doesn't have to be an even breakdown, but it has to be enough that a team can't watch your tape and know what you're going to do. Uh, you never, listen, the infamous Pitt loss before the Fiesta Bowl lost that game because Pitt knew what the offense was going to do. And after that game, every team would have known how to defend that offense. I mean, Rodriguez was only running 5 or 6 plays. You know? Eventually, a defense is going to figure out what the reads are, and they're going to, know where you're going. Let's see. Yeah, well, of course, the thing is, Green can make those throws this year. That's, I was talking earlier, his short and intermediate throws were good. It didn't matter whether he was in the pocket or scrambling. Now, of course, he made a mistake on the slide. He did start that slide early. I mean, especially if you count when that one foot started to drag, he was well short. I don't know why. And he still had room. He could have cut to the sideline, which he did in an earlier run, just got out of bounds at the sticks. He's going to hear about that one, and then the coaches will let it go. Green will have a harder time letting it go. But again, hey, players make mistakes. And when you keep telling a guy he has to slide more, you kind of get this sometimes, finding that sweet spot. And I do appreciate it. Yeah, of course, you still have a variation of the same logo. So it's not real hard to figure out. And I don't know if anybody noticed, I do have a new logo myself, created for me by a friend of the channel. I assume he's a friend. He created a nice logo. I've been putting it every place I can. Let's see, we're up to 16 people. We're still not getting a lot of comments or questions that I'm seeing. It helps. I love to talk. I mean, I will never deny that. I was once known to sit and tell stories for 7.5 hours. That was in a 24-hour restaurant with free refills on coffee. If I tried that now, I'd blow my glucose out of the water and my adrenal glands. So, but you'll have to deal with me talking without the aid of coffee, unless you guys are going to take a little more control. Couple of things I do particularly want to note, and because fans say a lot of things about Neal Brown that are demonstrably not true. We saw a couple of examples tonight. Late in the game, 24-point lead, he went for it on fourth down. They didn't get it, but they went for it on fourth down. The last touchdown, or I don't remember if they scored after that or not. But come on, way ahead late in the game, 40-yard bomb, Green to Clement. So people who say that, Brown, goes into his turtle shell when he has a lead, they're not paying attention. Times when that seemed to be true, it was because, the team needed to run. The team needed to run today. They did run. They were running well, which is also part of why those deep passes were open just about every time. And one or more of those, I think, was on the top corner for Oklahoma State, and receiver got open, pass wasn't there. But you may be able to hear Reggie in the background. Bob is doing much better. We currently have Kara Farrell, who is starting to do better, and one of her children, Reggie, in isolation in here. Asthma seems to run in the family, and Reggie got pneumonia, and we're having a little trouble kicking that. Fortunately, Kara Farrell is quieter than her daughter, but I think we are making progress. Let me double check here, see if. Well, that's a bit of a complicated question. I spent 1 year at the University of the South in Sewanee, Tennessee. It's also known as Sewanee, or the Oxford of the South. At that time, the professors wore the black academic gowns when they taught, and guys were required to wear ties to class. And I dropped out and eventually went to Muskingum College in New Concord, Ohio. Small college, small town. I spent most of my life small college, small towns. Did some graduate work at University of Oregon in Eugene, then at Ohio State in Columbus, and Ohio University in Athens. So bounced around, and also taught as a graduate assistant, or eventually as an adjunct, a part-timer, which is another word for severely underpaid worker with no benefits. Meanwhile, back to the game. I mentioned the tackling. There were a number of times, when it's like on some of the check down passes, out to the sideline, guy got tackled and brought down almost immediately. There were a number of good tackles. I specifically credited somebody for one, wrote it down, and don't remember where I put it. Now, of course, Green was there. I think there were maybe one or two called runs with Green, more with Marchio. But when Green needed to scramble, he scrambled. And he scrambled the right way. If something was up the middle, he took off. Otherwise, he would go out wide while looking downfield, and then either throw downfield or run, depending on the situation. But he did not, he didn't take off too quickly and blindly, and he didn't leave it too late. Did have the one very odd sack. They brought a blitz, and Green, getting around that guy, started stumbling, and then he cut to the inside of Milam and ran right into the defender. And Milam had kind of let the defender go. If Green manages to cut to the outside of Milam, a lot better things would happen. But I am not going to, complain too much that Garrett Green can't control direction when he's stumbling. I mean, that's really what it came down to. The block by Milam, I don't know if he thought Green was gone or what, but he did seem to let that defender go. He was just kind of standing there. On the other hand, Green was downfield blocking for White at least twice. Or Green, or I think one was for Donaldson, and Green was actually so far downfield, he was a little too far ahead and couldn't get the block that Donaldson needed. But man, I get tired of all of this stuff about worrying about quarterbacks getting hurt. I love seeing Garrett Green blocking. And again, it's part of why his teammates will run through a wall for him, because he will run through a wall for them. And one of my all-time favorite plays was the Pat White decleater, which would actually, I think, be an illegal block now. But man, I loved seeing that. Really, really did. Fair is probably the best you could describe. Kickoff didn't have any opportunities to do anything. Fox had a decent punt return on the first punt. He did about as much with it as he could. Had one short punt, and since it's Preston Fox and he has Preston Fox hands, I think he made the right play. Just about any other punt returner, because the ball took a big bounce and he went up and grabbed it when he had 2 or 3 defenders around him. Now, if he misses that ball, it's a turnover. But if he doesn't go up and get it, and it bounces over his head and doesn't immediately bounce out of bounds, that ball could go another 20 yards or more. So it's a smart play when you are able to make it, but heck of a risk for anybody else. But those hands are special. And I wish Green would get the ball within reach. For whatever reason this season, Green has not been able to get the ball where Fox can catch it. I say the one today, he threw too short. Fox had to prevent the interception. Good play on his part. And I mean, he just keeps missing on those throws. It hurts the statistics, but man, it's just a pain. But again, that's the quirks of the game. I think I mentioned a lot of 2-back sets today. A lot of people had been asking for that. Special teams, yeah, I did mention kickoffs. Had one go out of bounds, 2 or 3 that were touchbacks. One to the 3-yard line, but they brought it out to about the 28. One to the 10-yard line that they took into West Virginia territory. So there are still issues on particularly the coverage. I've got no quibble if they want to kick it down to the 3-yard line and force a team to return it. I like that, because if you have good coverage, you stop them short of the 25. It's a win. And we've had good coverage most of the time. We have normally stopped teams short of the 25. And people talk about, Neil Brown not taking risks. And yeah, every time you don't kick it out of the end zone, you're taking a risk. But this season in particular, it's a good risk. Now, we saw several, I think, Day Farmer got a carry, got crap knocked out of him. Dior Hubbard got 1 carry. We had Israel Boyce. We'll have to wait and see who else got playing time. We had, I think, Weidman in a while, and obviously we had Livingston in. And there was some question, I think somebody asked on either the comment on regular video or the live show, if Yates went down, would they bring in Livingston or slide somebody else over? Well, we know the answer. They bring in Livingston, and Livingston, I mean, I don't know how many plays he was in, but he seemed to do a good job. That is good for the rest of this season if we need him, and potentially good for next season because everybody expects Altuner to just kind of step in and take over. First of all, he's got to come back from his injury, and then he will still be in his first year of playing college. So I can easily see Livingston being the starting center next year. Coach Jackson or Coach Leslie did mention that Livingston had finally gotten his weight up where it needs to be. Harder for some guys to do, but it's up there before the beginning of the season. So now he is a go, and may fulfill, the what we've been hoping. Yeah, I mean, I've never stopped saying they can do it. They just have to play to their potential. They don't have to play to their potential. They just have to get close to it because the potential is sky high. Now, and we've already seen this season. Everybody said on any given day, any team can beat the other. Well, man, we are proving that left and right. It looks more and more like one of the teams in the conference championship will probably have 2 conference losses. I am hoping West Virginia doesn't have 2 conference losses, but they could still get in. Whoever wins the conference will almost certainly, not guaranteed, but almost certainly be in the playoff. But whoever loses the conference championship, there is a good chance they will not make the playoff. It would pretty much have to be a one-loss team. If we get a team with no conference losses and a one-loss team in the championship, and the team with 1 loss wins, so that both of the teams are one-loss teams, maybe. But of course, West Virginia's out-of-conference record would hurt because it's based on where you are ranked. It's the 5 highest ranked conference champions and then the next 7 highest ranked teams. So there's no guarantee to any conference. Extremely high probability, but no guarantee. But if West Virginia had 2 out of conference losses, if they have 2 conference losses, they might not be ranked high enough to make it into the playoff, even if they win the Big 12. Some of it would, of course, depend on who they lose to, how they lose, how they win, all of those factors. But you kind of have to be in or around the top 12 teams. That's really the goal, of course. You've got 12 teams in the playoff. You would like to have the top 12 teams. But we'll have to see. Matthew Clark, would you explain that to me? Exactly why do you think Neil Brown is specifically and solely responsible for one of the losses? I'm assuming you mean the pit game. But if you're going to make a claim like that, you're going to have to back it up. I want details. I want a 200-word essay. And y'all know I am grumpy about, trash talk. And I'm especially grumpy about trash talk that has no basis in fact. And I have problems with trash talk that people do not back up. Just saying it doesn't make it so. It's like back in school when you were doing division or something, and the teacher said you gotta show your work. Not good enough just to toss up an answer there. Um, hey, we'll be here a while. We've got 9 people watching. Haven't been here quite an hour. Um, Now, according to Rocky Topper, you'll need to do it in more than one comment, but you know, um, yeah. One negative on the game for the offense, they tried. They tried the jet sweeps and variations on that with Gallagher and with Farmer, and they did not work once. They were not close. Well, I think one was close to working if we'd gotten one block, but something was off on those, and we do need to get those going because Gallagher and Farmer are guys that let them get up in that slot and going, and some things can happen. Um, Although I'm also got a guy in the 2025 recruiting class named Quisenberry, and I want to see him on some of those. Of course, he'll be a freshman next year, so don't expect too much. Now they went with the trick play at a kind of odd time, the flea flicker, which kind of worked since Green scrambled for 8 or 9 yards, I think. It was well executed. Evidently, Oklahoma State didn't fall for it, but it was kind of odd to see, but interesting to see. I'm not going to complain about it because we won. Just kind of going back through my notes here. It looks like I think Wilcox had a really good hit. Touchdown pass from Green to Ray. I mean, that was just a clean, sharp, just nice, flat, tight, on the money, and the location and the timing were perfect. Let's see. No, Matthew, invalid logic on your part. I had 2 losses to pick from, Penn State and Pitt. Penn State was a wide margin. Pitt came back late. So that's the obvious one that you are most likely to pick. I do not recognize it as being Brown's fault. You can convince me if you come up with actual evidence. I'm not aware of any, so you will have to point it out. And then if the game is still up anywhere, I'll go take a look at what you pointed out. Now, I will also point out, I think it was on the YouTube comments, had a Pitt fan complaining about bad calls and non-calls against Pitt and gave me examples, and I went and looked at the plays, and he was completely and blatantly wrong. The examples he gave they disproved what he was saying. So if you're going to give evidence, I suggest you be kind of sure of it. Don't just don't be vague, don't be shy. I love conversation. I just want, um, yeah, more than trash, more than claims. Uh, I am going to mention again while we're here waiting for Matthew or for somebody else to come on in here. Um, and hey, if anybody else wants to put forth their reasoning for why they think Matthew is right, and I hope nobody in here objects if I call them by their first name. Technically, good manners says I'm supposed to ask first, but that's a little unwieldy in a chat room. Um, but I want to say once again, I got a bunch of videos up the past 2 weeks. The most comprehensive look at the season to date, not counting today. I've got 5 videos on that subject, 3 on the offense, 2 on the defense, some information or ideas, opinions that you're not going to find anyplace else unless somebody saw them there and used them. So if you haven't watched those, please go back and watch them. If you have watched them, please watch them again. Please make comments, click the thumbs up, share, subscribe, all those things. Get your friends involved. And please let more than 50% of the video play. And if you don't like the video, just turn off the sound and let it play in the background. I need help. I've got to break past whatever is wrong between me and the YouTube algorithm. And I notice that actually, a number of my regulars are not here tonight and have not been commenting on the videos. Those of you who were around will remember I lost my temper 2 weeks ago in the post-game chat and deleted or banned somebody who is popular among a lot of the fans. I did do a video explaining why I did that. Both the live chat and the explanation are now private. I don't, they're still up there if anybody really needs to take a look at them. I don't know if that's why some people have stopped watching. I hope it's not, but if it is, so be it. I'm not happy that I lost my temper, but I do stand by the essence of what I said, just not the way I said it. Of course, it did also involve somebody coming in and talking smack after a win. And Matthew, are you still here? If you are working on something, give me a quick heads up on that. We will hang on. Otherwise, I need to talk to Reggie and let her know that the world is not ending. I don't think I'll convince her. Unfortunately, she is semi-feral. So just taking her out of the cage and holding her a while, it is not going to work. Still kind of working on that. Oh, hey, she's decided to eat some. That is a very good thing. It also keeps her quiet in the meantime. I guess all of that yelling made her hungry. Well, guys, I am of the opinion that Matthew is, okay. Okay, tell you what, Matthew, yeah, it's we are losing viewers. We're down to 9, and I know, I am pleased that you are making an attempt to, justify the claim. It'll give us something to talk about. Oh, hey, we jump back up to 11. Who came in this late? Oh, goodness. Um, okay, well, yeah, I think the ACC network may have the game. That was where I was rewatching it, so might check them on YouTube and see what you can find. I mean, yes, it was not a perfect game. There were issues. Um, we can discuss which issues and what their significance was, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to do it here tonight. Come on, 12 people in here, and let's. uh, yeah, okay, that's fair. Um, I mean, there is no reason to be happy about that game, and or at least most aspects of the game. But yeah, being incensed, and hey, I know this from personal experience. Being incensed doesn't necessarily mean you're right. So if you find, the game and watch it, and your opinion isn't exactly the same as it was, hey, still come on YouTube and let's talk about it. I'm still curious about what particular things you were looking at. If your opinion is different, we can talk about how and why. You know, Changing opinion is probably one of the finest things a person can do if it's justified. um, yes. I, I mean, I think there were, not counting the play by Israel Boyce. I'm not going to hold it against the freshman. That was the last touchdown. I think there were three, possibly four passes that really just shouldn't have been as open as they were. Either because, corner, wasn't tight enough, or a linebacker wasn't deep enough, different reasons. But overall, there were more cover pressures or sacks than there were bad coverage plays. Uh, Now, unfortunately, we're not going to have a view that gives us the whole field to really watch and see what happened. But overall, guys were evidently doing their job because the quarterback was not able to just drop and throw. That idea, I think they said Bowman averaged 2.3 seconds. Not tonight, he didn't. Garnes had one or two good tips, should have had a pick six. We're adding that to the list. I think it was Fagan who should have had a pick six against Pitt. That would have, made a difference. Um, Now, of course, that's something a lot of, you know, a lot of people get mad about a decision that a coach makes. We don't, especially at that time, we don't know what all went into the decision. I'd also be curious whether you were mad at the decision before or after the play, because it's easier to be mad if a play doesn't work. But sometimes it's not the decision, but the execution. I know on the next to last drive, when West Virginia was trying to run out the clock, um, there was a pitch wide to Donaldson that a lot of people didn't like. if the wide receiver makes one easy crackback block, that play goes for really good yardage. Good chance it's a first down. Nature of the game changes. Um, I like, again, when it happened, I like the fact that they did something a little unexpected. They're running, it's a relatively safe play, but it's outside and it's a little different from what they've been running. And then when it gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage, I'm kind of, oh, well, crap, that the results sucked. Then Brown talked about the play after the game. And then I watched the tape and it was just like, oh my gosh, it was just such a badly blown block. I don't know which wide receiver it was. And wide receiver blocking has been a problem with the run game. It was why we weren't getting longer runs, especially to the outside. But, on a lot of those, it's a downfield block once the, running back has either cut in or out. Clement did a better job against Pitt. His blocking score was well up. Be curious to see how the wide receivers did in this one. And Matthew Clark, I again, I want to thank you for actually taking the time to try and go into the details. That's really what a conversation is all about. Not so much whether you agree or disagree, but each person going back and forth so that you, at the end of it, you hopefully both have more than you started with. Whether you prove me wrong, I prove you wrong, or it's a mixture of things, the whole process should improve what's up here. And that's what conversation's for. Conversation is one of the greatest ways to think and learn. So, and it's fun. Hey, we're up to 15 people. Goodness gracious. I think that might be the most we've had in here tonight, at least when I looked. I don't know if maybe one of the other post-game shows has ended and people are slipping over here. So those of you who are checking in now, hey, make some comments, ask some questions. Look, down to 13. Oh my goodness. I scared them off. They looked and said, oh my God, it's him. Let's get out of here. Okay, guys. I liked the game. I liked how the coaches operated in the game. I could have easily seen them passing more, but they did come in choosing to run. They stuck with it. They made it work. The line made it work. The running backs, I think they benefited from getting those opportunities. Jalen Anderson had 2 or 3 decent runs. So I say we'll go from there. Hubbard only got 1 chance. Hubbard does seem to be, of the freshman backs, he seems to be the lead. And according to Brown, it's mostly because he is doing well in pass protection, which Donaldson and White have not been doing well in. I think they did better tonight. Announcers mentioned it once at least. Again, I'll have to check the grades on that. But overall, the offense and the defense were better at just about everything. And for anything they were having problems with, there's only one thing that they didn't improve, and this is the odd one. Green's deep passing game. He's having more trouble with that this year than last year. And again, it's just a matter of kind of getting, the Green he was, the Green he's learned to be all in one place. Said in one video that Green has to gel. He's not exactly a split personality at the moment, but kind of is. So yeah, he's had trouble with the deep pass and almost except deep middle. Against Kansas, his deep middle passes were sharp, intermediate middle, the kind of passes people were saying Green couldn't throw because he's not tall enough, because he can't read defenses, all that. No, he's throwing those well. They did not go over the middle tonight. The deep passes were pretty much all to the outside, which is a little bit different. But again, Brown made a point. So you're going into a bye week, you try to look at your own tendencies and make sure you don't really repeat them. You can't change everything up. If you're doing something well, you do it. But you have to make sure you don't get into such ruts that teams will know what's coming. So I think they made a point of breaking some tendencies and have been making a point of just trying not to have tendencies. Let's see what we got some comments here. Well, yeah, Adam, I mean, you're right. At the same time, I think it's important that we do try to challenge what happens, what coaches do, what they say, what the players say and do. We have to remember that there are things we don't know. We are not in the room. We're not in their head. Odds are they are right, we are wrong. But talking about it and thinking about it is still worthwhile. It's fun. And like I said, hey, talking, when you disagree in some respects, or when you add something different to the conversation, that's what makes it worthwhile. If we're all sitting here going, well, that was great, wouldn't be near as much fun. It's more fun than sitting here saying, well, that was bad. But we got to keep in mind that, we need to challenge things. And sometimes the coaches come out and say, hey, well, shouldn't have done that. But everybody's wrong sometimes. And if they could go back and do the opposite, that might not work either. So, sometimes it's just the other team does something better than you. We do have to remember, be passionate, but think when you have time. Just because, hey, Matthew got mad when a decision was made. We'll kind of see how it looks upon reflection. But that's just what a person has. If a person is willing to think, that's great. Hey, William, thanks for dropping in. And we didn't let off the gas. We didn't. The offense lost that edge. They were executing well, but not the kind of, if the game is tied or close, you have a different psychology than when you're up 24 points. They were running plays that they had success with earlier. The fact that they were running late was no different than the fact that they were running early. It was what was working. And they, Green threw a 40-yard, bomb to Clement late in the game. And they tried others. They didn't hit him, but they were still throwing. They did not throw a lot the whole game. That was never the game plan. So it wasn't so much that they let off the gas as somebody had lower octane in their tank. I would have liked to have seen. They should have had 2 more touchdowns, but the reasons why they didn't, I don't think have anything to do with letting off the gas as much as just the players. The adrenaline level is lower. The focus isn't as sharp. And there's a limit to what you can do about that. That it's the reason for some of the great historical comebacks in sports. You know, the fact that the offense was able to continue to eat clock and the defense, with one drive exception, was able to continue to control the Oklahoma State's offense. That's what we should really be focusing on. Would have been wonderful if the number one offense had scored a couple of times quickly and we got the number 2 guys in for the fourth quarter. That's what I was hoping for. But the team did what they needed to do. I'll go back to that over and over again. But now there was no coasting. Okay. Anybody else got something to say? Been here an hour and 16 minutes. I don't know about you guys. I have not had supper. Hey, we're back up to 15 viewers again. So you people who just dropped in, say something. Make a brilliant comment that nobody else has ever thought of that will just astound us so much that we will want to put up a statue in your name. Yeah, Markio, I mean, did he do anything bad? Hey, he stepped out of bounds, could have had a touchdown. But yeah, that was stepped out of bounds by about 2 inches on a cut. Passed well, ran well. Green and Markio both. They are different, but they can do largely the same things, somewhat differently. Green will hit a player and try to run through a tackle. Markio can knock down a bigger player, I think. Green might have had a touchdown where Markio gets 20 yards. Now, but dang, it was still. I am not worried about the quarterback position. I do not want Green to get injured. Yeah, that changed tempo. We were running the same plays, taking more time off the clock between plays. And you're right that it's the right thing to do. At the same time, it does sometimes take an edge off of the players. But the players have to be able to play through that. And yeah, I wish they hadn't replayed the slide, but it was the right thing to do. Green's foot did start to drag in the turf. With the artificial turf, you can see it clearly on the replay. For some reason, he thought he was past the marker. I got to assume that. I don't know why he thought it that far out. I don't know why he started to slide when the defender was so far away still, or why he didn't just head for the sideline. But, as I said earlier, coaches want him to slide more. Not all the time. They're big on knowing what to do when. It's not just an either or answer. And trying to learn to be better at sliding cost a first down. Didn't cost the game, didn't cost anything really. And it's still better than Green getting hit and knocked out of the game. But it did kind of, that's what we go back to. Although I'm not sure he'll like the spelling you used for his first name. But yeah, definitely was pleased. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but he did get, drive and a half, something like that. Got some passes, got to run the ball, got to show himself. Very different Mark Hill than from last year. He's confident. He's poised. I mean, you can just see it in the smoothness with which he moves and makes his decisions. He's ready. I mean, he could be the starter, and I don't think it would cost us a game, which is to take nothing at all away from Green. As Coach Brown said after the Kansas game, WV won because we have Green, they don't. Makes a difference. But yeah, yeah, that I don't remember. I remember something about a fake slide. It's not one of the things I filed away, but yeah, that has been an issue. That yeah, if a quarterback pretends they're going into a slide, it's the same as going into a slide. You can't do that fake. That has to be the rule. It's just not fair to the defense otherwise. And I mean, credit the official on that play. He was paying attention. He saw, when Green really started his slide. There is a delay before his upper body starts to go down. But that foot drag and knee bend started pretty much when the official said it did. Sucks rocks, but no gripes about that call. I just wish Green had done it a little differently. Well, guys, I appreciate the chat. It has been a chat. Would like to get the channel up to where we've got more people in here. Shoot, as things now, even if I could do super chats, it's not necessary because there aren't enough chats to keep me that thoroughly distracted. But I do hope to get up to that point. At least last check, I was stuck at 433 subscribers. Have been stuck there for a week. The channel desperately needs your help, needs your views, needs your comments, needs your thumbs up, click notifications, all those things. If you have the notification bell clicked and you have not been getting notifications or haven't been seeing them for some reason, I would like to know that. Of course, the people who haven't been seeing notifications probably didn't see this one and aren't here to hear me say that. But spread the word, guys. I'm still around. Okay. I do believe an hour and 23 minutes is probably sufficient. We do still have 11 viewers, and guys, I thank you a lot for that. Personally, I probably would have walked out half an hour ago. Nah, I wouldn't, because that would require standing up. And gravity is not my friend, folks. Gravity is not my friend. Except when I'm going downstairs. Then it is a bit of a challenge. Just make sure I don't go down too fast. Okay. Well, we don't have another comment in here. So I am going to sign off as Reggie begins to serenade us again. Thank you, guys. I will be doing a follow-up video, hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Monday. And we'll be doing, I'll be doing as many as I can think of. if you guys do have subjects you would like me to cover, if they are not too complex, uh, I am kind of limited in some regards. But if you have some subjects, you might bring them up. Now, of course, we did have, and I didn't mention this, Mountaineer Paul on his Locked on Big 12 channel. And shoot, I cannot remember the coach's name. But coach who's worked with Neil Brown and thinks he's a heck of a coach. So do I. Yeah, had had excellent things to say about Coach Brown and how he's better than Jimbo Fisher. Coos did a video on the comment that winning 6 games at West Virginia makes you a good coach. Now, he just said good, but winning 10 games makes you a great coach. Coos did a really good video on that. I may still do one of my own. So keep checking in on the channel and tell others to check in on the channel. And I am, oh, goodness gracious, how did we get back up to 13 viewers? Well, folks, I appreciate you dropping in, but I think you are a tad late. So I am going to end this and go. Hey, I think I may go eat supper. Well, I may go take my insulin and eat supper. How's that? Good night, guys. I'll talk to you later.